My name is Carl Cofield. I'm directing Henry IV Part 2 in tandem with Liliana Blaine Cruz, who's directing Henry IV Part 1 for the Oregon Shakespeare Festival 2017 season. I think the biggest thing is I seldom get a chance to see both of them together. And I think that's a very exciting thing for an audience member to really come and clock the trajectory from Richard II to Henry IV Part 1 to Part 2 to really live with these characters and hopefully see the story in full. Personally, Henry IV Part 2 really excites me because I'm a man of a certain age and I'm sort of stuck between the Falstaff and the Prince Hal character. The Prince Hal character being a very young man who's finding his voice, and Falstaff is almost at the end of his life. And to be in the middle, to resonate with both of those characters is really exciting because both of their, I can look back and say when I was a young Prince Hal-esque, a young man, trying to make his way in the world, and who I took advice from, and the relationships I had with older men, mentors, artistic leaders, actors, just trying to find my way in the arts really resonates with me whenever I read Henry IV Part 2. The play resonates for me with many different facets, but I think the biggest one is if we clock the story, the land has been through some terrible, terrible bloodshed. And when we come to Henry IV Part 2, we're at a decided crossroads. Are we going to continue down this road? Or are we going to have a leader that comes in and says, we got to find a better way? And I think that presently in our political discourse, I think it's apt that we're talking about either building walls to keep people out, or are we talking about finding a different way? So we're all looking for a leader that hopefully can unite us. And I think that's one of the big themes that jumps out to me about Part 2 is the land is sick. It's seen a lot. It's seen a lot of bloodshed. It's seen a lot of backbiting, usurping to get crowns, to get power. But all of that has a cost. Physically, mentally, spiritually, it all has a cost. And I think when we pick up in Henry IV Part 2, the land has been a victim of this. We're interested in it being in an American production. I think it's going to be a 21st century, but I think there's, whenever you get into Shakespeare and you're talking about violence, what does that mean to a 21st century audience? Does that mean a gun? I don't think that's not going to be in our production. I'm working with a collaborator on my soundscape for Henry IV Part 2 that I'm really excited about. Elishaba Itope is an amazing collaborator. We're talking about, Shakespeare talks about music being in this world. A lot of the action takes place in a tavern. So the great detective question is, what type of music is that? Is it the, Tabor and the lute? I don't think it's not in our production. There's going to be a definitive Americana soundtrack that underscores this world. What that is, I'm not sure yet, but that's the exciting part about it. We're creating a dramaturgy that supports the world of this Henry. It should feel alive. It should feel much like the world. The world is at a crossroads. There's a danger that is lurking behind every laugh, behind every joke, and I hope the music will exemplify that. Is that rock? Is it ska? Is it rap? Could be all of those. But I think that's one of the great things about being an American production is we have a rich history of music to draw from. R&B, rock and roll, that feels definitively an American sort of underscoring. I think it will live very well in this world. Yeah, we're excited. I think what Bill Rauch is doing here is extraordinary, where it's an inclusive theater. And that was one of the big things I was most excited about when I came to OSF, that this production will look like an America that I know, that has different hues of people, different different orientations sexually. So we're not beholden to just a rigid male-driven thing. There might be some gender casting that we tweak a little bit, But I think more importantly, the story will be the main thing on display. It'll be a company that looks like a 21st century American audience that is inclusive of all of us, but yet and still, to me, the thing that will be the most important is that the themes in these stories are on full display. Yeah, I think our Henry in the Thomas is going to be tremendous because it allows the audience to really be in the room with the actors. And I know that's sort of like a general thing, but to really sit with Falstaff while he goes through all of his sort of changes and watch him navigate difficult situations. My hope is that the audience can really breathe the same air as Falstaff, to be there for the battles. And I think that Thomas lends it so perfectly. There's not a bad seat in the house. And the way Liliana and I hope to configure it is that my hope is that it's truly palpable, that the audience is fully invested and able to sit with these characters for a while and really to really marinate together the dilemmas of civil strife. For this production, we're having two directors work on basically two plays. We'll share the same company of actors. I think we'll share 11 of 14 actors. And that's a tremendous opportunity. It's anxiety producing, yes, because as a director, I'm used to working by myself with my team of collaborators, my designers. Now, this wonderful opportunity to work alongside another director and talk about aesthetics, things that I wouldn't necessarily talk about if I was working by myself, is extraordinarily, like I said before, it's great, but it's also terrifying at the same time. Luckily, I'm working with Liliana Blaine-Cruz, who's an extraordinary director. And the process I liken it to is like dating. We start out talking about what movies we like, trying to gauge our aesthetics, talk about things that make us laugh, things that we find interesting in the text, and from there we build a vocabulary. And hopefully from that shared vocabulary, we're able to create a world that is somewhat comprehensive, and that's the aim. It's been wonderful to work with her so far, and I anticipate it's going to be a truly, truly spectacular production. She has an eye for spectacle. Her work last season was Much Ado About Nothing, which every time I walk in the community, people are still remembering it and still talking about it. So I'm excited to collaborate with her and bring our Henrys with a definitive point of view to Ashland.